You have zero control over the macro environment, but you absolutely have every bit of control over your individual office.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome to the Appraiser Coach Podcast. My name is Dustin Harris. Thank you for joining me, folks. We are nearing 900 episodes. It blows my mind as I look at the number of downloads. Hundreds of thousands of downloads. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being there. Thank you to my sponsors who have been there from the beginning. OREP Insurance, of course, is the company you should be using for your E&O. Check them out. Go to orep.org. And of course, a la mode, been there from the very beginning, and they've had a lot of changes over the years, but they still continue to support the Appraiser Coach Podcast. And I still continue to support them because they are the best software out there. Alamode.com or 800 Alamode. Folks, I just, as I record this, I'm very tired. I just got back from a lot of traveling, good traveling. Had an opportunity, of course, to visit some masterminds. And I won't tell you where because I'm going to talk about some details today. I'm not going to use names, but I don't want to pin it down any more than should be. But I do want to share with you some experiences that I had. Really, one big culminating experience that I had over the last couple of days that I think teaches a really, really positive and good message when it comes to what's going on out there. And I don't want to oversell this. Whenever I do an episode like this, I have to step back and say, Dustin, be real, right? Don't be so optimistic and don't be so over the top that you're trying to sell an idea that's not reality. You'll know what I mean when I get more into detail, but I want to be very, very careful that the words that I speak today are real, are true, are good. And I think that they are. I think that I'm not going to oversell things. I'm going to be very real with you. And I'm going to say this. Over the last couple of days, had an opportunity to sit in 3 different boardrooms. No, that's not true. 3 different meetings. I sat in 2 different boardrooms. We had a meeting on Monday in one boardroom, and then I flew to another city where I had a 2-day mastermind in another city. And the 2-day mastermind basically looks like this. And by the way, this is the direction that we've been going with the Appraiser Coach Mastermind. It happened by accident to begin with, where through COVID and cities being shut down, we had to combine a couple of masterminds into one. And then it got to be so many people that we couldn't do it all in one day. So we decided that we would spread it out over 2 days. People said, I really liked that. The people that came to the meeting on one day were not the same people that came into the meeting on the second day. And they said, well, Dustin, why couldn't we just combine them? We could be a fly on the wall on the day that we don't share. We don't have our hot seat or what we call the couch session. But we would be invited to both days and we can learn from, the people in the room. And I said, well, brilliant. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I thought of it. I didn't think of it. That's the whole point. I felt bad that I had never even thought about it. That here's my mastermind students say, hey, Dustin, let me tell you how to run your business because it's a lot better way than you're doing it. And it was. It's a great opportunity to look at the structure and then back off and say, you know what, maybe there's a better way to do this. And truly, it is a better way to do this when you're looking at it from that perspective. And so we did. And so we did it in that. And then of course, I had my other masterminds in other parts of the country who said, well, Dustin, why can't we do that? Sounds like it was a really good experience. I said, it was a really good experience. Well, why don't we do that? Well, okay, fine. We'll try that. And so we did. And so now we basically are down to 2 masterminds, same number of people basically, but 2 different masterminds, where we've basically combined all the 6 into 2, where we've got 3 meeting for 2 days on one side of the country and 3 meeting for 2 days on the other side of the country. If you're interested, by the way, those two masterminds are in LA, right next to LAX. You literally, and I've done this on several occasions, and not wanted to wait for an Uber, or not wanted to wait for there's a hotel shuttle. I've literally walked from LAX to the hotel. That's how close it is. It's right there. It's a mile. So depending on how many bags you've got, you literally can walk to your hotel room. And it's a fabulous meeting where people on the west side, if you will, of the nation meet, and then of course you've got the other side of the country where we're meeting in Nashville for 2 days. Similar type of a thing. We combined the Chicago, DC, and Nashville masterminds into one 2-day event in Nashville, and the whole concept. And I know I'm off in the weeds. I promise I'll get back to the topic at hand. But the whole concept of a mastermind is enhanced, folks, when you have a group of people in the room. The whole definition that Napoleon Hill used of mastermind was that you get like-minded people with similar goals, visions, and values meeting in the same room together, and that's when the mastermind occurs. Why not combine that with other groups? It's been such an awesome opportunity to have people in the same room in other parts of the country that they've never met before. Other successful appraisers meeting together for a common goal. It's been awesome. I'm telling you, folks, with the slowdown, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to one of the things that one of the mastermind students shared with me in just a minute. But with the idea of the slowdown comes even more need to combine your forces with other people that are successful. I believe it was Jim Rohn who said that you are the sum total of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if you think about that, he was 100% accurate in that. Okay, I want to pause for a couple of shout outs to some sponsors, but when we get back, I want to tell you 2 things about the mastermind that just occurred, because I think they are inspiring. Both of them are. I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by OREP Insurance. Of course, OREP is the E&O of choice for me. Now, here's the deal, folks. You don't think about E&O very often, nor should you. Let's be honest. I'm not going to encourage you to, spend every day thinking for 10 minutes about your E&O insurance. How silly would that be? But when you do think about it, folks, it's because you either need it or it's time to renew. Those are the 2 things I think about, or when I think about the insurance that I have chosen. And I'm telling you, folks, in both cases, it has been a blessing to me. I have used my E&O insurance. A great blessing to work with OREP. By the way, they pay for $10,000 worth of help, of attorney help, for state board investigation. Folks, I don't know if you knew this, but that's not an E&O's job. But it is OREP's job because they love their clients. Check them out. Go to orep.org. That's OREP.org. And of course, we're sponsored by a la mode. A la mode software. What is it? Well, sure. At the very basic level, it is report writing software, right? It helps you to get your appraisal reports done. On a much grander basis, folks, you can get that anywhere. There's all kinds. I can think of 5 company names off the top of my head that do that very thing. Okay, why a la mode? Well, the devil is in the details, as they say. Maybe the better phrase here is the angel is in the details. When you really look at what a la mode does for you, you will be blown away at the difference between it and the competitors out there. Don't know what I'm talking about? Pick up the phone and call them. They'll let you know. It's alamode.com is the website, or 800 a la mode. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair. You can see it behind me. Folks, if you are not on YouTube, I encourage you to sign up for our YouTube channel. It is the Appraiser Coach. Just go to youtube.com, sign up for our YouTube channel, and you can see behind the scenes. You can see the cameras I've got out here. You see that one? I've got one up there. I switched to it earlier. You probably noticed if you're on the YouTube, and it was pointed at the wall. Stupid. I fixed that during the break. So let's see if it's working now. It's not. Okay. Well, cool. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Okay. Hi. So there's that one up there, and in different angles, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Hopefully you can't read the notes on my table because they're very private and personal. Welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast here. A little bit tired. You might notice that in my voice from travel, folks. Here's the thing. When I go to mastermind groups, I get a little bit worn out because I'm city to city. Now that's changing, as I mentioned before the break, that I'll pretty much be flying out to one city and then back, which I love a lot better than typically what it is I'll go to a place like, Dallas, and I'll fly in on Sunday night, and we'll do the meeting all day, Monday, and then I'll fly to you name it, the next city, and then we'll do the meeting, and then I'll fly to the next city, and we'll do the meeting. And it's a lot of airplanes, a lot of airports, and as you know, I love the miracle of flight, but I also get a little worn out being on that many planes. That's changing a little bit, but it didn't this last time. So I attended 2 different masterminds this last week, just getting back from them, and was truly inspired. I always get inspired and I always get pumped up when I'm at these meetings. But again, travel is what it is. So I'm a little bit tired, so forgive me for that. But I wanted to share with you, I was super excited about a couple of things that happened. Okay. And one of them is just a comment that was made. And let me set it up this way. My degree is in adult education. So I've got a bachelor's degree in adult education, okay, whatever that's worth. And then I've got a master's degree in what they call corporate training, which is adult corporate education. Okay. So basically the things that I'm doing right now at True Footage, which is, their education wing. I'm the director of education at True Footage. That's really what I went to school for in my master's program. Now, here's the funny thing. I don't honestly think I'm using any of that. That's beside the point. But while I was in my program, I heard this mantra over and over and over again. And the mantra was something like this. It was, when big companies hurt economically, the first thing to go is education. Okay, which I guess makes sense. But then they followed up and said, really, and granted, they're a little bit biased because they're in the education sphere. But the thing that they said was, that's probably the last thing that should go, right, is education. Well, in a very real way, the mastermind is like that. And so one of the individuals in one of the meetings on Tuesday said, and I think it was near the end of the meeting, he was talking about what a great meeting it had been, how pumped up he was, the goals, the vision, everything else. And he said, I know things are tough out there economically, but I can tell you that the Appraiser Coach Dream Team Mastermind is the very last thing I'm going to cut on my budget. Right? I'm going to cut a lot of other things before I get to that, because I think he sees the value of what it means to be in a room of like-minded people who are all helping each other to be better, and helping each other with our goals and our aspirations and our thoughts and our, and our questions and everything else. Unless you've been there, you don't know. Okay. Now I will tell you this. If you're a member of my all-star team, you got to be a member of the all-star team first. Okay. But if you are a member of my all-star team, you have a free ticket. Your first event is free. Right. So whenever you want to come to a mastermind, whether it be in Nashville or LA, let me know. And I would love to have you be a seat at the table and to share, to be a part of that, just like anybody else would. It's full-fledged. There's no holdout when it comes to your participation. Okay. All right. Okay. That being said, I want to share with you one other thing that occurred that I thought was super, super cool. Okay. And it was this experience that I had in every one of the meetings. Now, I may have been in the same city for 2 different meetings. Okay. So I had 3 meetings. 2 of them were in the same city, but they were different meetings. Okay. They were different groups of people in that. So literally I had 3 mastermind groups in the last several days. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In every case, The reality is most people in that room are like any other appraiser struggling right now. Like any other appraiser in the nation, volume is down. They have hit the brunt of the interest rates being high and the volume being low and the changes that are occurring in the mortgage world in a very real way. They have struggled. Okay. Now, part of that meeting is to help them with those struggles, right? To have them, we're very brutally honest, right? We strip ourselves naked, not literally. It's not one of those meetings, and lay ourselves on the altar of, hey, here I am, warts and all, help me, right? I'm not going to hide who I am. Here's my numbers. Here's what's going on. Help me to get where I need to go. And that's what that meeting's all about. And it's a super cool meeting. Okay. Now, with that picture painted, let me go back again to say that in every meeting, there was one person. It was a different person in each meeting. Okay. And in one meeting, there was two people. But so a total of, in 3 meetings, 4 people that I would describe this way. There are 4 people in those meetings that were absolutely killing it currently, presently. And when I say killing it, I don't mean just doing well as compared to where they could be because it's so low. I'm talking about they're doing more and better work now than they were before the slowdown. So if you look at their numbers, and we share numbers in that meeting, if you look at their numbers in the early part of 2022, or let's just even go back to 2021, they are doing more now, okay, think through that, than they were then. The height of the market, 2021, they are doing more volume, making more money, bringing in more gross receipts now than they were then. Okay, let that sink in for a little bit. Well, why, Dustin? Why? The purpose of the podcast today, the episode today, is very simple, folks. It is this: you have zero control over the macro environment, but you absolutely have every bit of control over your individual office. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Dustin, I can't control how much volume comes in. And I would say, really? How hard are you working at it? Now, in every case, the 4 people that I'm describing, in every single case, they are busting their butts to get there. Okay. This is not an easy job. I will say that, and I'm going to be so bold as to say that many people who are struggling right now are doing so because they are accepting what's coming at them as reality, and they're doing nothing to fight for something more. Okay. I know that's harsh, but I think it's reality. And I think it's reality because in those 3 meetings, there was at least one person in each meeting, and in one case 2, who are absolutely killing it. But when you talk to them, when they share why they're killing it, right? And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here, right? The reason they're killing it is because they have taken the principles that they've learned at the Mastermind, at the All-Star team, at private coaching, whatever, and they have put them into play. Well, what principles? Well, I'm going to be very generic, but I will say that this applies to every one of the 4 people that I just described. Okay? In every case, every single case, this is what's going on. They are networking more than they did before. They are speaking in front of realtors more often than they did before. They are going out and finding lawyers and attorneys to work with. They're working on their Google business profile. They're building up their reviews on Google business profile. They are reaching out to private work. In 3 of the cases, they are building their lender business. Even though the interest rates are high, they're not just focused on private work, but they're building up their lender business as well. Let me just give you one anecdotal story that I will share with you. Again, I'm not going to go into detail, but one of those individuals that I'm describing said that he had a discussion with somebody at a major AMC. Every one of you would recognize the name if I gave it to you. It's a big AMC, one of the top 5. And he said that he finally got a hold of the individual who creates the work, if you will, who assigns the work in his area. And he had a conversation with her. And he said, listen, I've been with you for 8 years. I'm making up numbers, but I've been with you for X amount of years. And you know my work, and you know that I'm good, and I want to keep doing it. And what can I do to be of benefit to you? And she said, well, honestly, your fees are too high. And he said, well, okay. I mean, I can negotiate a little bit. I'm not gonna scrape the bottom of the barrel. In fact, she said, if you will do it for X, then we can give you pretty much anything that you want. And he said, I can't do it for X. It's too low. She goes, well, we've got somebody in the area that will. And he says, that's fine. I don't need all your work, but where do I need to be that we can, get some of your work? And she came back and she said, well, if you had $25 more, then we could give you a lot of that work. And guess what? That was within his budget. That was within his reasonable rate without feeling like he was selling his soul, that he could still do reasonable business. Oh, guess what? He said, that was a week ago, and I've had 4 new orders from that company since then. Now, this is not an episode on telling you to lower your fees, right? We've talked about that before, and the risks and the pitfalls of doing so. Okay. The purpose of this episode is to say this: for those of you who are sitting back and saying, "Oh well, the life is hard and it's slow right now, and what do I do?" Folks, let me tell you something. There is a ton that you can do on a micro level to influence the way that you're doing business. I am not exaggerating when I tell you that in every single one of those meetings, almost everybody in there is struggling. But in every single one of those meetings, there is at least one person who is doing better than they did before the slowdown because of what they're putting into it. Folks, thank you for joining me today. I really, really appreciate you being out there. Let's upward and onward, folks. This is a cyclical thing. We will get back to where we were before, but in the meantime, let's work on our businesses. Let's build our businesses. Let's be successful. Let's go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.